Well, it's time for another Young Justice newsletter. It's been a few weeks and we've had a holiday break, but it's time to get back to the grind, talk a little bit about Season 5, and more importantly, what's going on with Greg Weisman. So let's take a couple minutes to dive into all the latest news, get caught up, and talk a little bit about our favorite show. Now, before we do that though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the Young Justice news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you are really in the know. Well guys, it's a new year and hopefully we're going to get some new news on Young Justice. There has been a lot going on, but sadly not the forward momentum many of us were hoping for. Now in this newsletter we're going to do a little update on Season 5 news, but we're really going to focus on that Greg Weisman hack because that's been the big news in the world of Young Justice. Now as far as Season 5 goes, well guys, we haven't heard much as of yet. Now keep in mind, it has been a holiday break, and nothing ever really drops then. So we shouldn't read too much into it, but it would be nice to have a little bit of an update. Now on the upside, a ton of DC stuff has been finding its way to other platforms. You might have noticed both Amazon and Netflix are carrying DC EU films, and we recently had Merry Little Batman be a huge success for Amazon, so this is really positive news. Now the next big animated project dropping outside of Warner Brothers is going to be Caped Crusader. That's also coming to Amazon. And I think once we know when that's dropping, well, the possibilities of other DC projects finding their way to the platform will finally arise. We did talk about in the last newsletter how some of the cast and crew are actually working on getting the show back up and running, and having a place for it to land is key, so Amazon having a little bit of success with DC projects is exactly what we want to hear. I definitely take this as good news, although I would like some sort of official announcement from somebody just so we know what we are looking forward to. Now, typically this kind of news would come from Greg Weisman, and sadly we're not hearing anything from Greg. Now, if you're a fan of this channel, you might have saw our video that reported on Greg Weisman's social media account being hacked, and sadly not a lot has happened since then. If you remember a few weeks ago, Greg Weisman's account started spouting stuff that was clearly not from Greg, and what we found out was that hackers actually cloned his SIM card to gain access to his accounts, and we don't just mean his Twitter account. It's come to my attention that several of Greg's other accounts, including his emails, were compromised, and I'm sure this was a giant mess for the creator. Now, sadly, Greg has not returned to Twitter since then. And if you're a fan of Greg Weisman, you know he has been the primary source of Young Justice news on social media for many years. I've reached out to a couple of sources and I actually got confirmation that Greg actually will not be returning to the platform. Now, I wouldn't put this on Greg or even the hackers, even though they do have some responsibility, but apparently this spawned out of issues dealing with Twitter, aka X. Apparently Greg tried to recover the account, but working with management over at the social media platform proved too challenging. They were apparently not very helpful, and Greg decided to call it quits altogether. Now, there is another Greg Weisman account floating around out there, and my source did confirm this is a fake account and not to be regarded as anything but an imposter. Now, fortunately, we still have the Ask Greg website. Now, this is typically Gargoyle's focus, but he does do a lot of Young Justice content, and it appears Greg will continue to update that platform, and that could be somewhat of a resource for Young Justice news, but definitely not the same quality and frequency of updates we were getting from Twitter. Now, obviously, we all want some positive news for Season 5, and without Greg front and center, I think it's going to be a little while before we get any official updates. We are going to keep a close watch on some of the other creators like Christopher Jones or Brandon Vietti, or even some of the cast like Kyrie Payton and Nolan North, who are all very active in the community, and hopefully those actors and creators will give us some resource and information dealing with the show. We know many of them want to return, that Payton and North are actually working on getting the show up and running again in Atlanta, so ultimately I think they're going to be the people we need to look to in the interim, and hopefully in the future we'll see Greg land once again on some social media platform. When that happens, we're going to bring it to you right away. Now, as we always say, the key to bringing Young Justice back, sadly, is money, and they need a path to profitability. The best way for us to show the show could be profitable is honestly to spend our money. Make sure you continue to buy the Young Justice comics over on Amazon. We always link those down below, and it's never a bad idea to pick up those DVDs. We haven't got an announcement on Season 4 coming to DVD yet, but Seasons 1 through 3 are fully available and definitely garner attention when they get good sales. So if you want to help the show, put your money where your mouth is, spend a few dollars, and show the teams over at Warner Brothers Animation that we are really serious about getting Young Justice back once again. We'll see you again in a few weeks. We're going to keep doing these newsletters, and we really hope you stay whelmed.